Hey y'all, so before I get this video started, let me give a quick shout out. These were the first 3 comments in my last video. If you want to be featured in my next video, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell and come show me some love when I drop a new video.
What's up, you guys? It's KeAmber Vaughn, aka CoachKe, coming back to you with another video. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and if you're not new, welcome back. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and also tap the bell so that you are notified of every new video that I post. As you guys can tell by the title of this video, I'm coming with another nursing story time, and this story time I'm going to tell you guys about the time that I was wrongfully terminated from my job. Sorry that I'm not all dolled up. Y'all know I really don't like getting dolled up anyway, but I also just got off of work this morning from my new job, hence the pen being here. But I wanted to put this video out because I told you guys that I was going to do another nursing story time. I know you guys really like these particular videos. So this particular situation happened a couple of years ago, and at this job, this was like, I had the situation where they tried to terminate me one time, or wanted to terminate me one time, because I had started working there, and within like, I think maybe 9 months, I hadn't put in very many hours. And that was only because I literally did not have access to the electronic medication administration record. So I had worked 2 shifts where I didn't have access to that. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of dangerous, because if something happens and I need to give a PRN, I need to give a shot, something like that, I don't have access to see anything. So I have to then wait for another nurse to come to wherever I am to open it up. And it was just very dangerous. So I stopped working after the 2nd shift of dealing with that, and I was going back and forth with IT for the longest. They could not figure anything out. Eventually, after months, the company or facility ended up reaching out to my agency and was like, hey, she obviously doesn't want to work. And I'm like, no, I have proof that I've been trying to get my login to work. You guys have not been working with me on it, so it's still not working. Eventually, I got it figured out. Me and another employee there kind of figured out what was missing. Somebody had deleted my account and wasn't supposed to. It was all kind of crap. So it just started off wrong. So when I started working at this particular facility, they had everything set up. It's basically kind of like a medium security jail. It was in psych, so it was a locked facility where you have to have keys for every single, and I mean every single door stayed locked pretty much, and you had to have a key for it, okay? Now, when I first started working there, there was this one particular ward where I always said that I didn't really want to work, just for my own sanity. I know how my personality is, and if I am not needed on that ward, just please don't switch me to that ward, like if at all possible, because working with that particular subset of psych patients just was not good for me and my personality. It just wasn't gonna mesh well. But eventually I did start working over there more often. I was the charge nurse over there pretty often as well. And so one particular night, y'all, I got into work, and I think this had been, I can't remember. I think at the time I was back to working just 2 shifts a week because I had become debt free. So after I became debt free, that's all you saw me was 2 days a week. I would stay over extra in the mornings all the time whenever they needed help. Like, I did pretty much everything. I would take like unnecessary assignments just to make everybody happy, even though I was agency and I didn't technically have to. So this particular day, I go into the supervisor's office because there, like, once you went through the security, then you had to go to the supervisor's office to check in, and then that's also when they would give you your assignment. So I check in and I'm like, hey, where am I at tonight? So she was like, oh, you're on ward such and such. And I'm like, I literally said it just like this. I was like, dang, I've been over there like my last 4 shifts in a row, but whatever. Okay, I just need to get keys, because at this facility, if you were agency, you did not have the keys to get into all of the doors in the facility, because for them, since you were not hired directly through the facility, if you were to lose your keys, I think it was something like they couldn't hold it against you or something, I don't know. So whenever I would sign in with the supervisor, I had to sign out a set of keys for PRN or agency people, and then I would sign them back in once I was leaving out for work. So I go into the cabinet, there's no keys whatsoever. So I'm like, I told the supervisor, I was like, I don't have any keys in there? And she was like, oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. Now, mind you, I had issues with this particular supervisor because I noticed that at first, when I started working at this job, whenever I would sign up for shifts, I would sign up for specific units. That is where the hole was. That's what I signed up for. Every time I came into work when she was not the supervisor, I got the assignment that I signed up for. Anytime she was there, I was always switched to a worse assignment, an assignment somebody did not want, and she would switch her friends to where I was supposed to be. So I already like had a problem with her. I never verbalized it or whatever. But when she came out and said, I don't know what to tell you, I was like, okay. I said, well, you don't have to tell me nothing because I'm gonna go home since I don't have keys. Technically at that facility, your keys is like your badge, like it's part of your uniform. If you don't have keys, you can't work. Like if you were a full-time employee there and you forgot your keys at home, they wouldn't even sign out like extra sets of keys to you. You had to go home and get your keys. That's how important keys are. It's for your safety. So if I didn't have keys, I'm not staying, I'm going home. So she was trying to argue me down. No, you're not going home. You're already here. I'm like, listen, I don't have keys. I already worked a shift with no keys before, and it was very dangerous, and I was pissed off about it. I thought I was going to end up getting keys at some point throughout the night because I thought somebody was going to turn some in and they didn't. So I'm like, no, I did that once before. I'm not doing that again. So the supervisor's office and the Sally port, which is where security is, which you have to go through to get back out, you know, side to the parking lot to your car. I'm pretty much at the door at security. She's all the way at the supervisor's office. She's yelling down the hallway, you need to get back here. You need to go to the ward and have them let you in. Now, mind you, there's other employees around, including other nurses. One of the nurses, she was a veteran there, and she had once, like during this whole conversation, she was like, oh girl, you could take my keys and I'll just go home. I'm like, girl, you know I can't do that, but even if I could, if somebody going home is me, I'm good. So I go home. Everything is everything, right? Wrong. So I end up getting a call from my agency letting me know that they discontinued services for me. And I'm like, why? Oh, well, you refused an assignment. They said that you refused to work on that particular ward. I'm like, that's not true. I did not work because I didn't have keys, and that is dangerous. First of all, it's dangerous to not have keys, period, but especially in psych. Like imagine working in a jail as a nurse or as a security guard and you don't have keys. So if there's some kind of riot or they're trying to come attack you, you can't get out. If there was some kind of fire, like let's say there was a fire on my ward and my staff members took everybody out, you know, they're counting all the patients, they made sure they got everybody out, but I was not out. I could literally die in that fire because I didn't have keys to get my way out of the building. You know, if somebody's trying to come attack me, I have no way to get into the nurse's station. If somebody's trying to attack one of my patients, I have no way to open up one of the side doors to allow them to get away from the person that's trying to attack them. You get what I'm saying? So I told my agency that's not true. I did not have keys. She told me that she didn't know, like, you know, there was nothing that she could do about it, and she didn't know what to tell me. So I went home. I can't work with no keys. I did it once and I'm not doing it again. So my agency was like, oh yeah, we didn't hear that story whatsoever. So we'll reach out to, I think the guy he's something over nursing in the facility. We'll reach out to him and try to figure out what's the resolution and try to figure out, like, you know, get to the bottom of it. All right, cool. Me and my agency, y'all, were emailing this man for 2 weeks. No response, no response, no response. So I'm like, you know what? I have people that could help me pro bono with a wrongful termination lawsuit, but I'm gonna see if I can get my job back first, because I never really fully liked the job, but it was such an easy and simple job. Administration just made it a horrible job, to be honest with you. Most people that don't like that job, it has to do with administration, not the actual job duties. And I loved my patients, so I wanted my job back. Like, forget going down that rabbit hole. Just give me my job back. You know what I mean? So Eventually, after 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks, I told my agency, you know what, I'm just gonna go up there and I'm gonna get an answer for something, because this is ridiculous. Now, all this time, anytime we email y'all, I know that y'all get these emails right there. Y'all sitting in the office all day. Y'all see the emails popping up, give us an answer. So I go up to HR one day, and it was like bright and early in the morning. And so I think one of the secretaries in HR, it wasn't the guy who I was trying to speak to. It wasn't his supervisor. It was his secretary is a different secretary. So she opens the door and I'm like, hey, I'm here to talk to such and such. And she was like, do you have an appointment? I was like, no, me and my agency have been trying to reach out to him for the last 2 weeks and we haven't gotten an answer. So, I took it upon myself to make sure that I could come up here to have a conversation with him to figure out what's really going on. So she was like, okay, well, let me go and speak to his secretary and let her know what's going on and see if he could get you in. And I'm like, I know this dude ain't doing nothing. Like, come on. So she lets his secretary know. The secretary calls me back there and she's like, what's going on? I'm like, well, my agency let me know that you guys let me go because of the situation. And they said that I refused to take on a particular assignment, saying that I didn't want to work on that ward, when the reality was I did not have keys. And because I did not have keys, I didn't have the proper uniform, which meant that I had every right to go home because that's a safety hazard for me to work with no keys. Okay, well, let me call him and see what he wants to do. So I'm sitting at the front of the HR, and like in HR, there's different desks and everything, but there's dividers. So, and then like around the walls, you do have a couple of offices, but she was in the dividers, which meant that everything that she said and did, I could hear. Okay. So she calls him. Hey, we have KeAmber here. She's saying that she needs to talk to you about a termination, and you said that you would get back to her and her agency, and she hasn't heard from you, and she's wanting to meet with you. So he says whatever he says, and she goes, well, I don't understand why she has the right to speak to you when if we terminate any of our regular employees, they are not allowed back on company grounds, like ever. And I'm thinking to myself, who are you to try to enforce something? You have no idea what's going on. It doesn't matter what you do with your regular employees. I'm not a regular employee. He said that he was going to get back to us and he didn't. So now I'm here. So I didn't even end up meeting with him. He ends up setting up an appointment with me. And I think at the time, this lady was the assistant chief nursing executive, I think. I don't know. When these people get in these positions, they get on power trips and you just forget who is who. So she ends up saying that she would meet with me, and she brought in the supervisor, and I don't remember what type of supervisor this particular lady was at the time, but I do know that I used to always go to her for scheduling. I think she was the supervisor of the people who does the schedules or did the schedules. So she sits down with me in the office and she's like, so, what's going on? And I was like, well, I was informed that you guys terminated me because the supervisor from that night told you guys that I refused to work on this particular ward. That did not make sense because I had worked there my last 4 shifts in a row. So why all of a sudden would I refuse on my 5th shift? That doesn't make sense. I said the truth was, I didn't have keys. She said that she didn't know what to tell me about not having keys, and she tried to force me to work with no keys, which is a safety hazard and it's illegal. Oh, yeah, we didn't get told that you didn't have keys. I'm like, exactly. So then her smart aleck stuff. So, what do you want your job back or something? I'm like, yeah, because I shouldn't have been terminated in the first place. And I told her, I said, I don't know what it is about this particular supervisor, but I've been having issues with her, And so I explained to her how whenever I schedule shifts, I'm getting told that I'm here. Whenever it's another supervisor, I'm actually there. But when it's her, she switches me out for her friends who have the same ethnicity as her. And that's an issue for me. So then she goes into this spiel. Now, mind you, the lady who schedules me, who's been scheduling me that way, telling me exactly where I'm working, she's sitting right there. Well, you shouldn't actually be told where you are because your agency, you're PRN, so you go wherever we need you. And I'm like, I understand that. But if I'm signing up and I'm only signing up because you're telling me that I'm in this particular place and you switch me for literally no reason. It's not like it was a late call off. It's not like you had to switch me because somebody else needed to be switched somewhere else. She's only switching me because her friends don't want to work their assignments. So she's switching them where I'm supposed to work. Well, no, because you're supposed to just work wherever we tell you to. It doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. So of course the lady who's scheduling me, you shouldn't be relying on whatever I say in regards to where you're supposed to be working. Oh, so now you in front of somebody who has more pull than you, and now you sitting over here folding. Typical. So at that point, I was just like, listen, at the end of the day, I just want my job back. I don't have to deal with this lady, because she was like, well, what do you want us to do? Because we're not going to fire him. Oh, you don't have to fire the supervisor. I'm just letting you know what's going on. So what I will do from here on out is when I'm signing up for shifts, I will be asking who's the supervisor. And if she's there that night, I'm not going to work. And it's that simple. That way I can avoid any conflict, because this is ridiculous. So my very first shift, they gave me my job back. My first shift was that following week, and I specifically worked that shift because I knew that supervisor was going to be there, and I wanted to see the look on her face when she saw me with my job back. So I walk into the supervisor's office, y'all. That lady already light skinned. She turned super pale when she saw me walk in. She was like, KeAmber, I don't have you on the schedule. I know, I just got my job back, so I'm supposed to be on the schedule. I showed her proof that I was, so she gave me my assignment. She tried to have some kind of conversation with me, and I was like, listen, no offense or anything, but me and you not even on that tip no more, because you got me fired. She was like, what? No, I didn't. I didn't get you fired. I said, yes, you did. And you lied on me. You told them that I refused the assignment because I didn't want to work on this particular ward. You did not say anything about the fact that I didn't have keys. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So she pulls up her email, y'all. Let me tell y'all, she told on herself. Pulls up the email so that I can read it. Her email said, dear so-and-so, KeAmber Vaughn, agency nurse, went home because she refused to work on ward blank, and she used not having keys as an excuse to not work on the ward, and she went home. Agency nurses should work wherever we put them. This is a problem. I said, you didn't do anything but prove what I said right. I'm like, you should have never even included anything about that ward, because I never refused to go to that ward. When you came in and I told you you were on that ward, you said, I've been working there the last 4. I said, no, I did not say it like that. I literally said, dang, I've been there the last 4 shifts, but whatever, where's my keys? That's exactly how I said it, and I have proof from the people that were around. All you needed to do was email them and tell them, KeAmber Vaughn, agency nurse, went home because we did not have keys for her. It is a safety hazard. We need to order more keys. That's simple. The ward thing shouldn't have even been in there. They would have never terminated me if they knew that the actual reason I went home was because I didn't have keys. You shouldn't have mentioned anything else. And the other problem, y'all, is that when you go through orientation there, they tell you if you lose your keys, you have to pay like hundreds of dollars because they have to change all the locks in the entire facility, right? Here's the kicker. When I first started working there, they had 4 or 5 keys that were specifically for agency nurses. But what people were doing were they were signing it out to full-time employees, signing it out to PRN staff who are supposed to have keys because they're not agency. They have keys because they're hired directly through the facility. And in the process of them giving these keys out, they were not properly signing them out and signing them in. So you have 4 or 5 sets of keys that were now all completely gone. You don't know where they are, but y'all haven't changed any locks. Did y'all reprimand any of the supervisors who were giving these keys out but not signing them out and in? Because let me tell y'all, when I looked at the sign-in sheet, it was always my name going in and out, in and out. Where are the other people y'all were giving keys to? They had no answer for that. So after that situation and they rehired me, they ordered 4 more sets of keys. And I told them I was not working until they verified that those keys were in that little lockbox that I have to get them out of. By the time I stopped working there, y'all, it was back down to 2 sets of keys. I don't know where they put those other keys. They still stopped signing them out and in. It's just like, for me, I was just so frustrated because I'm like, I literally got fired off of hearsay. That facility had cameras and audio everywhere. If the supervisor came to you and said, oh, this happened, it happened right here, you could have easily looked at the camera, listened to the audio, and heard and seen the fact that the real reason why I left is because I didn't have keys. You could have asked the supervisor, was there anybody else around who could verify your story? You could have asked that question because there was another supervisor that was in the office at the time. There was 2 nurses, or 1 nurse and a tech that were right outside of the office who could hear literally everything. Had they asked those people what actually happened, they would have got the real story. I would have never been terminated. And I just feel like the fact that you as a facility can put your all and all of your belief into one single person instead of using the other resources that you had to get the full story. Hell, they didn't even call me and ask me what happened. They automatically went off of what she said. Y'all as a facility could have gotten in trouble for that. I could have sued you for wrongful termination easily. And all of that would have been on y'all's back because y'all wanted to listen to this one lady. Y'all didn't try to do any kind of research of your own. It was ridiculous. Like, it was dumb. And I'm glad to say I do not work there anymore. It continuously got worse and worse and worse over time. And I don't ever see it getting better. That particular facility should be a job where it's hard to get into because people don't want to leave because it's that simple and easy of a job. But most of the people that hate working there, it's all due to administration because of stuff like this. And it's like, if I'm agency and I'm dealing with that, I can only imagine with the people who actually work for them, who actually have to deal with the politics and stuff. I can only imagine. I ended up, by the end of the time that I was working there, I ended up with a target on my back because those same 2 people that were in the meeting with me years ago when I had to deal with that, they became buddies basically. And I had to report that supervisor for, she was like lying about schedule needs. She would literally sit there and tell me that she did not need me on a particular day, but then send out a mass email to all of the nurses in the facility saying that she was down 4 nurses, down 5 nurses. You just told me in my agency you didn't have any needs for that night, because she was trying to force me to work a schedule she wanted me to work. If I'm agency, I work the schedule I want as long as the needs are available. But you're lying about the needs because you want me to work these other days that I don't want to work. It's just dumb. And I'm just happy to say that I am now in week 3 of my new job. This is the first job that I've actually ever liked right off of the bat. Most jobs, I just know right off the bat, this ain't gonna last very long. But yeah, I like my new job so far. I'll probably tell you guys about it in an upcoming video, more than likely probably a budget video, who knows. But yeah, I wanted to share this story time with y'all because y'all, these jobs out here, listen, people say stuff to me all the time about how I just hop around and I quit one and go to the next, and you know, I just do whatever. And I just feel like that's what you have to do. You don't want to continue going to a job where you're undervalued, where you're underpaid, and where you have to deal with just stupidity. People who will just fire you without even doing their own research, who will just fire you because one person says something when there's 3 other people that are around that can give it a totally different story. And I'm just glad that I'm not there anymore. So yeah, if you guys have any story times about how supervisors have done y'all wrong, y'all have been wrongfully terminated or wrongfully reprimanded at these jobs, feel free to share your experiences down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, but other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.